Hello, I'm Chris Cox, and welcome to my series on starting the young horse. Okay, I have a lot of questions asked to me on how old should the horse be, what preparation should be done, and this is the first Colt starting video that I've done probably in 13 years. The last one was, like I say, 13 years ago, where I started a Mustang, and been a lot of demand for it, and I think people need to be somewhat experienced before they start starting their young horses. They have to have control and be able to control an older horse before they can get with a young animal. Now, prior to starting a horse, what should be done with this horse? Well, first of all, you know, it's nice if the horse leads. I used to do a lot of demonstrations with horses that didn't lead, and I rode them before I ever taught them how to lead. But you know, today, you can get a lot of preparation done before you ever put that saddle on your horse, before you ever, mount that horse. And I've had these horses checked out. This is a 2-year-old stallion right here. He was halter broke last year. I bought him in a sale. I know that he hasn't had a saddle on. He hadn't had a lot of groundwork. We brought him home. It's been probably about 4 months ago. We brought him home, and this horse we've done a little bit of groundwork with him. Not much. We've probably done altogether probably 30 minutes of groundwork. And I've turned him out with a bunch of horses. He's got a lot of long hair, but he's been outside. And you know, I prefer that. A young horse, I like for him to be out in the natural environment and let him just be a horse. And let them travel around and get their footing, and rather than be in a stall or a very small confined area. So we've just caught him up. He hasn't, like I say, hasn't had anything done with him. He looks pretty quiet, but you know, he's got a little bit of spunk to him. He's breeding. He's a smart little Lena, and he's out of a smart little Lena mare, which she won about $500,000. So he's line bred. If it works out, he's line bred. If it doesn't work out, he's inbred. So I took a chance on buying him, and I really like the way he moves. So I'm excited to get this colt started. Okay, how old do you think that they're ready before they're ready to start? Well, that certainly depends on your situation. There's a lot that you can do to a horse without getting him pestered and getting them spoiled before you can ride them. A lot of the time that I see that a lot of horses that maybe been imprinted way too much as a young horse, they disrespect the human, and they don't have any respect with inside my space, just like somebody that are raised up, given everything all their lives. They walk into a store and they want to get to the front of the line. They don't care about or respect the other people that's waiting in line. They've had everything given to them when they want it given to them, and a horse can be the same way. They can demand everything, they want everything, they come on top of you, they want their treats, they want whatever you have there, and it's a situation that you have to really be aware of, that don't get these horses spoiled. Don't befriend them, but don't get them spoiled. You want to make sure that you can touch them. This little colt here, he's a little bit afraid about some stuff, but at the same time he's sensible. You know, we've picked up his feet. We've taught him how to get his feet trimmed, and I like to have all that working for me before I ever start riding my horse. Picked up his front feet. We've picked up his hind feet. You know, he's not experienced about it, but at the same time, he's certainly wanting to please. So I have a lot of that working for me. Like I say, I haven't ever done any preparation for the saddle on this colt. All I've done is done a little bit of disengaging on the ground, which I'll show you that we'll get started with here. A little bit of direct and drive, and he knows how to lead. He knows how to tie. So if your young horse doesn't know how to do that, you need to do some more ground exercises. I've got some groundwork tapes and whatnot that show you how to implement that, not just on an older horse, but on a younger horse. A lot of people ask me, said, have you got a video on groundwork for a young horse? Well, really and truly, it doesn't matter whether it's a young horse or an old horse. We're still trying to accomplish the same thing. The application is similar, and we want that horse to respond in a relaxed and willing manner. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of walk him around here a little bit, and I'm going to walk towards his hind quarters. He's going to make sure that he's giving me that hind end. A little bit stiff there. I'll go on this side. Make sure that he's giving me that hind end. He's moving that hind end up pretty nicely there. I'm not doing a lot to him. I didn't have to do a lot to him. Just remember, the more refined you get with your skills and your ability, the quicker response that you can get. It's going to take you guys maybe a week a lot of the time to implement all this, and it may take me just an hour. But you know, once you get better at doing your skills and refining your skills and the application to their exercises that we're trying to do, it gets quicker and quicker because you can become more effective with what you're doing here. So I'm going to walk around him a little bit here. I never move real slow around a young horse. I make sure that I'm very fluid, I'm very smooth. I want to push that hind end around. I feel like I'm pushing it around pretty nicely. As you can see, I'm going wide. I'm not going, when I walk in here to his shoulder, he should stand still. There we go. And when I go wide here, I can go wide and I should move the hind end. So I've got different barriers here that I've worked with. And it's very simple after you understand what you're trying to do. What I want to do here is I want to soften up that rib cage. I feel like that when you're starting a young horse, and you know, those horses are really tense throughout their body, meaning that this whole body here is all locked together and the hind end does not move, and then you're sure going to be in a lot of trouble because that horse is either going to buck or he's not going to cooperate. He's stiffed up there throughout the whole body. So I want to keep that body moving here. Now, I wouldn't just go ahead and try to put a saddle on him without any preparation. I want to make sure that I have some preparation here to before this horse ever gets saddled. I've got to get his feet moving. Like I say, he stands still because I've done some groundwork to him about 3 months ago. Didn't do a lot, but it was enough to teach him to stand still and pay attention. So I'm going to keep moving that hind end around. This horse has some feel about him, which means that he's not dead, he's not sticky. I can push him around, I can get him out of my space, and that's what I'm looking for. Those colts that are wanting to come all over the top of you and wanting to push on you, they're the horses that you're going to normally have a problem with in moving out. I think I really want my young horses to move out and travel and move freely instead of being all balled up and being real sticky. So you can acquire this on the ground either to get them to move out, or you can do the opposite. You can teach them how to be sour. You can teach them to be pushing on you. And you can see that what I've used on this horse, I haven't let him go on this round pen. I'm not a big advocate on using a round pen a whole lot. We're going to start some horses in this round pen. I'm going to show you how to start some outside the round pen. And but I use this halter and lead, no matter if the pen's there or not. I'm always controlling my horse with this halter and lead. And when I let him go in here, I've got control of him. I don't have to worry about the pen really trying to control my horse. I've already done my groundwork. I've already done my preparation to get my horse controlled with this lead rope. And I haven't relied on a barrier, so to speak, to get this horse controlled. Okay, so I want to go right over here. I can go to this hind end, move this hind end around. Okay, I did teach this horse, if I can remember. I've worked with so many here on the ranch several months ago. I've been on the road for a few months, but I did teach this horse, I believe, to direct and drive. So I'm gonna keep up my direction hand. I'm gonna drive him this way. There we go. Now I'm not gonna show you a lot of direct and drive because I've done that in several of my videos. I've done that. You want to make sure that you have a little bit of this implemented before you get in here. All I'm doing is I'm reminding this horse of what I've taught him before. And that's something that you need to be aware of. Okay, I'll put up my direction hand. When he comes forward, I quit twirling. I'll drive him by me. So I want him to be able to drive by me there and keep up my direction hand. When I drop my direction hand and look at his hindquarters, he should bring his hindquarters around. There we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. So I've done that to one side, I can do it to the other. I stick up my direction hand, I'll twirl, bring up that hind end, there we go. I keep my direction hand up. Now I can certainly get him to speed up. All I got to do is just put a little bit more energy in there. I look at his hind end, I want that hind end to go all the way around to the end to where his mind faces me, to where his eyes face me. That's really important. I don't want him looking off here. I don't want him looking over the fence at some other horses. If he hears another horse, I want him paying attention to me. I want him to be the best pupil, the best student that he can be. There we go. That's nice there. Go to this other side. Now, being that he's a stallion, should I start him any differently than I would a mare or a gelding? No, not at all. But what I've done to these horses is I've put him in a pasture with some other horses, some older horses that discipline him. If he gets stutty or he starts squealing and kicking at the mares, these other horses have been disciplining him, and he acts like a pretty nice horse now. So if you keep a stallion up at a stall and for several months, and you bring him out here and try to start him, sure, he's going to be a handful. Plus, he's not going to have his footing just right. He's not going to be aware of his balance too much, and he's going to be looking all over the place. It just makes it a little bit harder on you. Let those horses be horses. You know, there's plenty of time for them to become humanized, okay? But at the beginning, they need to be a horse. They need to just let go and just travel, let them be a horse. So I'm really a big naturalist on that. I make sure that we don't interfere with their thinking and their way of moving and before we ever start them. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do some preparation with my lead rope. I'm just going to bring my lead rope over here, and I'm going to look at this horse, his whole body. I'm going to read his eyes and his ears. I'm going to look at his whole body, and he's going to tell me when he's ready to stop. He's going to tell me when he's had enough. You see he jumped there a little bit. His ears are back here, his eyes back here with me, and I'm going to use the lead rope here as an extension of my arm. And I'm going to use this lead rope, and I'm going to go all the way up his neck here. He's a little bit worried there. He looked at me and said, stop. See, here are the keys. I can show you how this horse could jump and move from being afraid. But I'm going to stop when I see it in his mind first. That's very important to know. That really distinguishes, in my opinion, the great horseman from just the average horseman. Is that can you see their feet move before they ever move? Can you see them react in their mind before they ever react in their body? And can you stop or can you correct that before it ever gets down to their feet? That's the key. So I want to be able to make sure that I'm looking and I'm reading this horse's personality through its eyes and its ears. Its eyes and its ears, or its expression of its face, are the window to his mind. So I've got to understand that. So I'm consistently using this. You'll see me build. It's a building process. You'll see my rhythm. You'll see my speed build as we go. It's really important to understand that I'm actually building confidence with this horse. And you may not see the details of it, but you'll see as I progress and I build, I go through my rhythm, I get this horse more relaxed and more confident, and then I'll even, whether I move a little faster, I'll move a little quicker on some different stuff, but my momentum is smooth. And that's really important, that when I walk up to him, see, right then he kind of backed off a little bit. I could have walked up to him when he backing off and stopped, but I want him to be, I want him to be a little bit more accepting of who I am, rather than tippy-toe around him. You know, horses realize that if you don't have the confidence, they're sure not going to have the confidence. So you've got to show them that you are a leader in education, you are a leader in knowledge, you know what you're doing. It's okay. If you listen to me, everything will be all right. I'm going to set up each little step for you, and these steps are going to be plain and simple. You can see that I'm moving my hand a lot quicker than I did earlier. And I will throw that lead rope over his back, and I'm not pulling on his head. It's really important to understand that you do not have restraint of his head. Don't have this restraint. So I'm going to throw this lead rope up. I'll get a little bit higher, a little bit faster, and I'll throw it over his behind there. I'll come up from his behind. I'll get a little bit, and I'll get a little more expressive here. Okay, as I go, there you go, and I'll throw it over his behind. Let it fall down, throw it back over him again. Now, he wouldn't have accepted this in the beginning, but you might say, well, Chris, but he's doing fine. He never jumped. That's exactly right, because I prepared him to do that. I could really do the opposite. I could create an idiot, meaning that every response, what most people do is they respond to his reactions. I just keep going until he settles down and accepts what I'm doing to him, see? So, but he has to understand that I have prepared him for this. I've prepared him for my fast movements. I'm going to throw the lead rope up. Oh, he wasn't really expecting that rope being as high, see? So I really went too far with my hand then. So I'm going to try it again. Oh yeah, his feet didn't move then, see? So I'll build on this. I'll try it again. Oh, his body moved, but his feet didn't move. So that's a little better. I'll try it again. Oh, no, his feet moved that time. So I'm going to work with him and keep walking up beside him here, see? Until he accepts me. There, he accepted me, so I'll relax. As soon as he stopped his feet, you'll see him licking his lips there. As soon as he stopped his feet, I gave him a relief, and I said, that's exactly what I'd like for you to do, is just stop and relax. If you stop and relax, I'm going to stop the pressure. So we actually teach this horse how to think correctly. We teach him how to think relaxed. Because any results that you're going to get from this horse from now on till the day he dies, the results have to be relaxed. Any performance that anybody does, if they're too nervous, they cannot perform at all. That's the same way with a horse. Whether you're roping, jumping, cutting, trail riding, your horse has to be relaxed. If they're not relaxed, they don't enjoy it and problems occur. So it's the same as starting these young horses. I want to set a trend for this young horse from today until the day I quit riding him. Meaning that I want to set it up to where he is prepared and he enjoys his job. Okay, that's the first time I've thrown that lead rope all the way over. I went all the way over his back. I'll do it again, and I'll catch it up underneath here. So I'm using this lead rope that I have. These are halters and lead ropes that I've designed. It's got a little bit of weight in it to where it falls, and it's a little more balanced for me. And I can use the same rope here. And what I'll do is I'll just seesaw him just a little bit of pressure, just getting him used to the pressure. There he looks at me and he says, okay, that's enough. So what I can actually do is I can put a little bit of pressure on this horse, and I'll get him to where he'll look at me again. You watch, as soon as he looks at me, I'll give him relief here in just a second. He looked at me there, and I released. So he's telling me I can actually set him up to where he'll just look at me. I can use this as a guide to get his head laterally, see? So I'll put a little bit of pressure on here. I'll wait for his head to come around here. Yeah, he went to the outside. I did not want him looking to the outside. He comes back here. When he looks this way, I'll release. So any little response that I can do with this horse to teach him something to relax, as soon as he looks at me and looks for me, I'll release. Put a little bit of pressure there, just getting him to accept. So the further back I go, you bet it's going to be a little more uncomfortable for him. It's just like us putting something up underneath their arms and tickling their arms right back in this area. It's pretty sensitive. Now, how do I know if this horse is going to kick me? I know from right here in his mind. This is where he's going to kick me, is in his mind first. So there's no sense in me looking down there at that hind leg that's cocked up there. There's no sense in that because the kick comes from the mind. So I put a little bit of pressure right here. That was somewhat of a reaction. He's telling me, hey, that's enough. I said, okay. So I want him to get used to the back cinch. So this preparation with this lead rope right here is going to help him get prepared for that saddle. There he looks at me and I give him relief. So I don't keep on with the same thing. I tell you what, with a colt, it's really important for most people to realize that these horses get bored, and when they get bored, their attention leaves. Their attention goes somewhere else. So I'm going to make sure that I keep his attention with me. Now, you've seen me do some things on the left side. What I do to one side, I've got to do to the other. I've got to come, this side here is a little bit different, see? This side's a little bit different. When I go on this side, he does not like to look at me out of his right eye. So I'm going to stay on this side until he stands still. Walk up here, I just put up my arm as a block. I'll keep walking until his feet stop. Right here, his feet stopped. And I'll rub him. I'll let him know it's okay for me to be on this side. So I've got to be prepared to get him to accept me on this side as well as on the near side. There's a near side and off side, or a left side and a right side. So I'm going to build on this side and soften his brain up on this side to where he'll accept the saddle as well. We cannot have a half-minded horse. We've got to have a horse that thinks with both sides of its brain. And you can't teach a horse to think with both sides of its brain on one side. You have to be able to level that horse up. So I keep my momentum with this lead rope. You'll see I'm building a little bit more on this side, just as like I did the other side. I can't start off with being so high, so rapid, so fast. I've got to start off slow and smooth, and getting him to accept this lead rope, getting him to accept all the movements that I'm doing. He's wanting to pull his head. If you'll see, he's wanting to pull his head. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to kick his hind end around. The only way for me really to get that head pulled around, instead of me pulling on his head, which I don't like to do, is from the hind end. If I can push that hind end, see, if I can push the hind end, I'll bring the nose. See there? And that's how I control his mind as well. Now I could stand around here and I could be jerking on this head, but all that does is elevate his head and it gets him stiff throughout the body. So when he looks off on that side, what I need to do is come back here and disengage that, push that head around, or the hip around to get me the head. So I want him to be a little more comfortable about me moving up on this side. Throw that lead rope over there. I'll keep my rhythm going. I'm still looking at that eye and ear. He looked off there. I'm going to say, don't look off. And this lead rope's pretty soft. It's never going to hurt him. And when I correct him, I want to make sure that I correct him on his hindquarters as much as I can. I'll come back in here. I just keep my rhythm going. Because when I get on his back, I'm going to have rhythm as well. You've got to have rhythm. When you ride, you've got to have rhythm on the ground. He looks off again, but he come back. His eye come back. He needs to learn how to look at me out of this eye. Okay, now I'm going to keep a little bit more assertively here. I'm going to be a little more assertive and throw my hand up with the lead rope up. Oh, he moves. I said, no, I'd like to stay with you there till he stops. Here he stopped, so I stopped. So all I did was I implemented, if he stopped, I'd release. But I never stop when he's moving. All that's going to do is just teach him how to get away. So I'm going to becoming, people call this desensitizing. I don't really call it desensitizing. I call it preparation. I don't want my horse to be desensitized. You see there, he just got a little afraid. I don't want him to be desensitized. I want him to have the natural instinct to get away. You know, I don't want him to be dead to everything. I want him to be prepared to accept the saddle, to accept the rider, but still have a little bit of fright to be able to get away from trouble. So, yeah, I want to try to soften up this side of his mind. See me do, and I'll creep down here with his hind, with this lead rope on his hind quarters. I'm still watching his eyes and ears on this side. I've got to have that head on this side. If that head gets to pulling on the other side, I need to go back and move his hind quarters. There we go. Now I feel a little more comfortable. Now I feel like I can just kind of throw up over his back there a little bit more like I did. I'm just going to hold this lead rope here, hold this lead rope, and keep walking with him, keep walking with him, and keep walking with him, keep walking with him. Just going to hold this into my belly, keep walking with him. All I'm asking for him to do is stop, see? Just keep walking with him. Here he stopped. So I stopped. That's what I'm looking for. Now I'll come back here, and he'll know that he can get away from that by relaxing. Everything that I put on a horse, I've got to take off. That's so important. If you keep a pressure on a horse and there's no relief, then that horse is going to find a relief somewhere. So I feel like that I'm accomplishing a little bit with this horse. I certainly don't want to get him too bored. And, you know, and like I say, it's really important for these young horses not to get too bored because, you know, they've got to do something that they like to do. They've got to be involved in something. Can't be one-sided. You know, if you just do the same thing every day in class, you know, people put a saddle on a horse for 2 months sometimes and sit on their back and rub them and all, and, you know, you've got to have a plan. That's what's so important, is preparation and having a plan to be successful in preparing your horse to be ridden. And every little step this horse is learning His mind is keeping occupied, and he's looking on a way of how to please. I want to set him up in how to please me. Okay, it's gotten a lot better there. So I feel like he can get closer to accepting that saddle, see? If he can't accept this lead rope, there's no way in the world he can accept the saddle. All right. Okay, I forgot a step there. I need to go back here and throw this lead rope over his body here. You can see on the other side there, when I'll throw it over again, and I'll catch it on this other side here. And what I'll do is I'll just fold this over here on his on his girth line right here, and I'll just act like this is a girth here, and I just put a little bit of pressure. His head goes that side, I bring it back, put a little bit of pressure and release. Put a little bit of pressure and then release. Put a little bit of pressure and then release. A little bit of pressure, then release. I want to bring his deal back here. Put a little bit of pressure and then release. A little bit of pressure and then release. I don't want to keep a constant pressure up there unless he's going to jump and kick me right in the stomach. You know, there's no way that I'd be back here if I didn't understand how he's thinking. Okay. It's a little better there. So what I'll do is I'll move his feet around a little bit. I don't just keep him at the same speed. I might direct and drive him here, give him something else to do. You know, I say, okay, we've left that exercise. We'll come back to it later on. But we're going to go to the direct and drive exercise. We're going to change hands. We're going to go the other way. So I've changed. I've kind of kept his mind a little occupied there. And don't letting him get bored. I want to keep him interested all the time. He's a little stiff right there, so I want to go to his hind end. So I want to make sure when I get on his back that I don't have that stiffness, because I'm not going to be able to control him. Make sure that I have the softness there. Get that hind end out of the way. All right. Now I feel like that, you know, I can go on to something else. I'll rub him there a little bit. You can see that I'm getting a little more freer with my actions. I'm going to stick this lead rope over the other side. I'm going to do a hind end disengage here with the lead rope. And what I'll do is I'll put this lead rope on the off side. I'll drop it down on the off side of his hip. Now if he would kick me, I'm going to stay back here. I'm going to drop that down over his tail and keep it above his hocks. What I'll do now is I'll step off at his hip right here, and I'll pull. And he's got to find that angle of leverage there. And I'll let him think about it. I'll pull on a little bit. I'll just hold it here. He's got to think about it. He should disengage the hindquarters. There he went. And then give to it. Notice the licking of the lips. So he had to think his way through in giving to that lead rope. He had to think on where that pressure, that lateral pressure was coming from, and find the relief. I'm trying to teach him to set up and find the relief, not go against it. See, a horse, his natural instinct is to go against pressure whenever there's fright. So we, as horsemen, have to understand how that we can overcome that and teach them how to be relaxed and find that relief. I'll step again. I'll come to the end of my lead rope. All I do is just hold, have it above his hocks, and I'll hold here. As soon as that hind end releases, the rope becomes slack. There we go. It's a lot nicer. I might do this 2 or 3 times on each side just to get that horse to where he's given to me. A little bit funny about his head there. We'll go back to that and build on that later on. I'm going to hold there, come back around. It should be a lot quicker this time. There we go. Supples up that body, finds that his nose travels in the direction that he's going. That's what I'm looking for. It's a lot better. I'll drop it over his hip. Now I'll become a little more comfortable with it, now that I've introduced him to it. So what that does is, when I'm on his back, that certainly teaches him how to look for that relief without me being around, see? I'm not there when he's looking for it, so. Really helps them soften their body, and it shows you really how it's not their head that bends and supples, it's their body. Once they bend that rib cage and move those hindquarters, then they can give you relief there. Okay, very nice. Now I think I'm getting closer. I'm ready to be prepared to introduce this horse to a saddle pad. See, he's a little jumpy right there. I'm gonna go back here and build on it there. I found a little hole right there that I didn't fill. What I mean by a hole that I didn't fill, it reacted to being a little bit silly there. So I'm gonna go back and be a little more assertive. A little more natural moving. Okay. So the next step that I do before I ever get the saddle pad is that I get my horse to where they accept me on the ground here, almost for mounting. I say almost for mounting, it is for mounting. I have my left hand on his neck, that's what I'd be getting on with, and the right hand just on his back here. I just kind of lay it over his back, and I'll start to just kind of bounce a little bit. And if I just started to try to jump up on this horse, he'd scoot to the side and maybe kick at me. But I've got to start here, just a little movement with my feet. If he walks off, I'd do exactly the same as I did earlier. I'd move with him until he relaxed. So I'm just going to bounce here a little bit. I see some relaxing in his jaw there. That's nice. Then you'll see me start to jump a little bit higher. Getting used to my chaps flapping. Help, his body jumped there. I just reassured him by not jumping with him. There we go. And I'll just give him a little bit of relief. Relief meaning that I'll just walk away from him. Just kind of let him be a horse. Just let him relax. I'll come right back up to him here. So when I've got that saddle on, he understands a little bit more about me leaning over him here. Now I'll start to jump a little bit and rub my body up against his side, rub his backside, because I'm going to do all this when I'm on him. I'll change sides. It's going to be a different story over here, because this is the side that he's not quite used to. I'm going to start to bounce just a little bit here to get him used to the movement on this side. Always watching his eyes and ears and making sure that I have a little bit of angle right there, meaning his eye and his ears on this side. Because if it's not on this side, that means that this hip bone is pushing on me. When this hip bone is pushing on me, that means he's resisting. So if I've got his head on this side, it means that this hip bone's a little more relaxed and it's to the outside. So the nose and the head really dictates of where the hind end is. I'll build on that. His head look off, but I'm getting it to come back here now. There we go. As you know, I keep my hand stabilized on him, on his back. I do not move my hand when I'm jumping. That just reassures him that he's okay. And I'm not trying to do anything to him he's not prepared for. As far as getting on this horse, without a saddle, you know, some people can. I do it at times, but I really don't expect people to. Horse is going to react differently to them. Horse is going to react differently with you getting on their back without a saddle as opposed to getting on with a saddle. You see he balls up there a little bit. He'll ball up and just kind of, I'll move his hind end around. I'm just going to kind of lean over him. There, he accepted my weight just for a second. So I just left him alone. As long as he accepted my weight, just for a split second, I want to reward him by just kind of walking away from him. I'll bounce up here and I'll put a little bit of pressure up here. Now I might just lean over him here and I'll keep the rubbing up. I stayed on his back just a little longer that time. But he always knows that there's going to be some relief. He walks off there. I don't want that walking off. Make sure that he pays attention to me. You want to look off there a little bit. I always want his attention on me. I want him to know that I'm the only way out of here. kind of walked off, had a little bit of a hump in his back. His hind end's there sticky, see? So I couldn't push his hind end around there with my hand, so I went back there to the lead rope. Yeah, he had to get his feet in order there, see? I'm just gonna rub on him there a little bit and I'll just keep progressing. See, I could actually get on him right here and just keep rubbing on him. As long as I'm moving, I'm okay. It's when you stop moving is when that horse will get nervous, because that horse has nothing to think about except negative. If you let him know through your actions that you're moving, then he'll start to relax his body. He won't just ball up and jump. Certainly I can get this horse to jump away and kick me and throw me down. But I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can and getting this horse prepared to accept the saddle and accept the human. So horse, he's going to react differently on either side. We're not as good as the humans on this side as we are on the other side if you're right-handed. But every day I try to work on being as good on the right as I am on the left. Okay, so it seems like to me, you know, he's pretty nice about accepting some things. I can throw my lead rope over him here. He's a lot better. It just took a few minutes, didn't take long, but I got him thinking about getting ridden.